The vultures are circling Boston. As the Celtics navigate a turbulent offseason, loaded with financial landmines and uncertainty about Jayson Tatum's short-term future, the Los Angeles Clippers are quietly circling like predators. And they're not coming for just one piece. What started with whispers about Jrue Holiday has snowballed into something much bigger. First Holiday, then Derrick White, and now Kristaps Porzingis. The unicorn centerpiece of Boston's front court is reportedly on LA's radar. In a recent report by Grant Hughes of Bleacher Report, Porzingis was labeled an ambitious trade target for the Clippers. And the word ambitious here is doing a lot of heavy lifting. This isn't just about basketball fit. It's about a potential power shift in the NBA. The Celtics, just a year removed from an NBA title, are facing a bitter paradox. A contending roster weighed down by financial gravity and contract realities. With Tatum potentially sidelined next season, Boston might be forced to pivot from chasing banners to dodging the second apron. And when ownership starts eyeing luxury tax bills in the 9-digit range, guys like Porzingis, earning over $30 million next season, suddenly become expendable. But here's the kicker. Porzingis isn't just some expensive footnote. He's a high-efficiency scorer who put up nearly 20 points per game last year, while shooting over 41% from deep. As a 7'3" big man, that kind of floor spacing is rare, and for a Clippers team starved for front-court offense, it's gold. Porzingis wouldn't be brought in to replace Zubac directly. He's never been a high-durability 82-game anchor, but he would give LA the ability to run massive lineups, stretch the floor, and actually punish teams that double Kawhi or collapse on Harden. He turns stagnant half-court sets into multi-dimensional attacks, and in the postseason, that spacing and secondary scoring could be the difference between another early exit and a real run. The Clippers know they're running out of time with this core. They've swung big in the past and struck out. If the blockbuster names fall through again this summer, Porzingis might be the best plan B they can afford. But here's the dark twist. Boston might need them to make an offer. So now, what once looked like a stable Celtics roster is suddenly being picked apart, piece by piece. The Clippers aren't just opportunistic. They might be accelerating the end of Boston's golden era before anyone saw it coming. And the question Celtics fans have to ask is brutal but fair. Is Boston still building or starting to sell? The Boston Celtics are on the brink of a dangerous offseason shakeup, and Derrick White might not be safe as champagne stains fade from the championship parade. The Boston Celtics are staring down the barrel of a brutal and unforgiving offseason. The NBA's newly implemented collective bargaining agreement isn't just a tweak to the rules. It's a wrecking ball aimed directly at the heart of elite rosters like Boston's. And while fans are still celebrating Banner 18, the front office is facing a stark reality. This team might not survive the summer intact. At the core of the crisis lies the punitive financial structure of the new CBA. With sky-high salaries and tax penalties piling up like storm clouds, the Celtics are inching dangerously close to the dreaded second tax apron. A line that, if crossed, doesn't just hurt the wallet, but shackles a team's flexibility, limits trades, restricts signings, and erodes roster-building tools. In plain terms, Boston may have no choice but to cut off a limb to save the body. Whispers are already becoming roars. Despite being a fan favorite and arguably the team's most consistent two-way guard, Derrick White's name has surfaced in trade talks. Not because the Celtics want to lose him, but because they might have to. With Jayson Tatum recovering from an Achilles injury, the team can't afford to lose stability. But the reality is cold. White's value is sky high, and in this new financial landscape, even cornerstone players aren't safe if it means survival. And just as speculation builds, White himself has announced he'll be traveling to Singapore in June for the NBA's Basketball Without Borders program. A global initiative that looks great on paper, but also removes him physically and mentally from Boston's war room during one of the most critical stretches of off-season planning. He'll be joined by Tyrese Maxey, Duop Reith, and WNBA legend Ticha Penicheiro, along with assistant coaches from the Raptors, Mavericks, Hawks, and Warriors. It's a noble move, promoting the global game, but the timing is hard to ignore. A key Celtics leader leaving the continent as trade calls mount back home. The league sees Basketball Without Borders as a platform for global influence, 33 countries, with 4,600 participants and counting. But in Boston, there's a growing fear that this summer might be the beginning of a quiet dismantling. And White, the quiet killer, the unsung hero, the guy who never complains, could become the first casualty. Make no mistake, if Boston lets Derrick White walk, it's not just a cap sheet decision. It's a seismic shift in identity. In Raz, a team loaded with star power, White is the glue, the connector. Losing him could unravel more than the box score suggests. And with trade buzz intensifying, one truth becomes unavoidable. Nobody is safe. The Boston Celtics are not just at a crossroads. They're standing on a financial cliff with a championship core dangling over the edge. Despite capturing their 18th NBA title, the off-season narrative in Boston isn't one of celebration. It's of survival. The harsh reality? The Celtics are dangerously close to becoming a three-time offender of the league's dreaded second apron line. A position that would not just restrict their flexibility, but cripple their ability to compete long-term, to dodge the unforgiving repeater penalties, which include the elimination of trade exceptions, the loss of mid-level exceptions, and severe restrictions on player movement. Boston needs to shave roughly $20 million off its books, and that has triggered a wave of phone calls from rival executives circling like vultures. They smell blood. Teams aren't just inquiring about Kristaps Porzingis or Jrue Holiday. They're hoping Boston panics. They're trying to exploit what appears to be a fiscal trap with offers that would require Boston to include a sweetener just to unload talent. But here's the twist. Brad Stevens isn't blinking. According to Jake Fisher of the Stein line, Stevens is operating with quiet aggression, making it clear Boston will cut costs, yes, but on their terms, not as a league-wide clearance sale. Porzingis and Holiday, both on hefty contracts, are the obvious names. But behind closed doors, league insiders are whispering about names no one expected to even surface, like Derrick White and Payton Pritchard. These aren't just role players. They're system glue, internal leaders, and with Jayson Tatum sidelined indefinitely due to a devastating Achilles injury, they're now pivotal to Boston's immediate future. The Celtics reportedly view White and Pritchard as nearly untouchable, but everyone has a price. According to Fisher, the only way either is moved is if someone delivers the kind of offer that forced Brooklyn to let go of Mikal Bridges. A Godfather offer. Why so much noise around two guards who, on paper, aren't superstars? Because in today's NBA, undervalued high IQ players on manageable deals are the rarest currency. White, a two-way machine, and Pritchard, Boston's sixth man of the year, offer production far beyond their paycheck. The very definition of cost-efficient assets in a cap-strangled league. And here's where it gets more complicated. Without Tatum, the Celtics aren't just trying to defend a title, they're rebuilding the plane mid-flight. Pritchard and White will be asked to carry significantly larger loads, and if they shine, it'll drive up their value, not just on the court, but in the trade market. They could become Boston's most valuable bargaining chips, or the foundation of a post-Tatum offense. Remember, these are not theoretical projections. These guys already proved it. In a March win over Portland, White and Pritchard made history, becoming the first Celtics duo ever to both drop 40-plus points in the same game. That's not just a statistical oddity, it's a statement of capability. Still, here's the kicker. This isn't just about trades. This is about how the NBA's most expensive roster balances legacy with longevity. Boston could win again next year, or they could implode under the weight of a top-heavy payroll, suffocated by CBA restrictions that were literally designed to prevent dynasties like this from thriving. So the question isn't if the Celtics will make a move, it's how bold they're willing to be, how much they're willing to risk, and whether they can outmaneuver a league that's waiting for them to blink first. Because if they don't get this offseason right, Boston could go from champions to cautionary tale, faster than you can say second apron.